Nurture and support. Nurture and support. This is a podcast theme song. And it's really short.
Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Nurture and Support. This is episode 154 and a special episode that we're going to cover our new series on Westworld Season 2. So today we're going to talk about episode 1 of Season 2 of Westworld. And as always, I am Mel at Karmic9.
And hi everybody, I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and I guess Snapchat, but doesn't really matter.
Ooh, Snapchat.
Whatever, I don't get it, still don't get it, never will get it.
No, I'm too old to understand Snapchat.
Yep,
so.
Me too.
But I bet you the hosts in Westworld would totally understand Snapchat because it seems like kind of the crazy reality they'd be into.
Yeah. Well, and I think Snapchat is the mesh network of the kids today. So there you go.
Right. Pretty good. Yeah. Only I hope they don't start 3D printing people. Because it could get ugly fast.
Without a doubt. So we're super excited to talk about Westworld. I don't know since Breaking Bad if there's been a show that you and I have been kind of equally energized about, but this is definitely one of those for me.
Yeah. Westworld's one of the best shows out there. I was thinking that after this episode. At the time we're recording this, episode 2 is actually aired, but we're going to only talk about episode 1, so we're not going to give any spoilers for episodes you possibly haven't seen. But I was thinking that there's a couple of shows out there that I really like, but Westworld really hits that spot that I've been missing since Breaking Bad. So I do agree with you there. I love Westworld.
Yeah, appointment television is the thing you make time to watch.
Right.
So Fear the Walking Dead's also started its second season, and they've really upped their game. Overall, much better than Walking Dead, in my opinion. But it's going to take a backseat to Westworld because I'm going to watch Westworld, and I'll catch up on Fear the Walking Dead where I can.
Yeah. Westworld's really one of those shows where you kind of need to watch the episodes more than once to try to catch all the nuance. So...
And there's a ton.
Yeah, and there's a ton that we're probably going to have missed, so don't at us, or do at us, but be nice. Don't make Mel cry because she's stupid and missed some important little snippet of information, because,
Yeah, I'm going to try not to spoil because I have been able to see episodes 1 and 2, and we're only talking about 1. And I think in episode 1, we start on this. We'll get more into episode 2 about it. But so who do you think in all the cast of characters, who's the hero of Westworld? Who's the person you're rooting for?
I'm glad you asked that question because I was actually going to bring that up myself. Is I kind of think that's what episode 1 is doing a good job of setting up, that dichotomy of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in Westworld. And my personal favorite for who is the quote-unquote good guy is Maeve.
I'm pretty much with you. Dopey Teddy, he's a good guy, but not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But
Teddy's a little weak.
A little bit?
Teddy's got a lot of growing to do, and I don't know that Teddy's gonna get woke fast enough. Yeah.
I think there will be some challenges there. Yeah, I could totally buy in. Right now, it does appear that Maeve is like the most thoughtful and potentially the most powerful. We'll see how everything goes on that. Going out of season 1, the assumption would be that Dolores would be the hero. We start to get hints here in episode 1 that maybe not.
It's one of those things that anyone who's listening to this has probably listened to our past episodes, and you may have glossed over my numerous book recommendations where I really have a thing for anti-heroes. And I think that's part of the appeal of Westworld for me, is that it is a show that is comprised almost completely of anti-heroes. They're all bad guys. Everybody's a bad guy. Some people just might have better intentions in the end than others. Dolores is completely justified, in my opinion, on what she's doing. But that is kind of the question that we have here: is do the ends justify the means? And what reality? That's the question that the episode starts with, is the nature of reality. And so is the reality that Dolores is making, is that really the reality that is the best fit for everyone, or whose intentions are better? And I think Maeve is perfectly capable of killing everybody there if that's what will get her what she wants, but her intentions in the end, I think, are far purer than Dolores's are. So I think that's kind of what we're going to see through this season, is who is the good guy and who is the bad guy. And they may flip it around on us at the end.
Yeah, because that's what they do, which
Right.
is the amazing part of the show. Yeah, because as of right now, Dolores feels to be a little bit more about retribution. Maeve feels to be a little bit about progress. Original Arnold seems to be a good guy on that process. Man in Black seems to be about winning. So yeah, I'd have to go with Maeve as well.
Yeah, everybody has their points. I mean, that's why, you bring up Arnold. I'm not liking Arnold so much. The first season, we were kind of led to believe that Arnold was this good guy who had the host's best intentions. But in the end, he has, spoiler, if you haven't seen episode 1, or season 1, you probably shouldn't be watching this, but he has Dolores kill him. And I don't know. To me, that was a very damaging thing to do to Dolores. So I don't really know how I feel. I'm conflicted about Arnold. I'm not certain that Arnold is really the good human in this scenario. I'm getting more and more on Ford's side, because I think Ford put a lot more planning into what's going on here than Arnold ever did. So we might find out differently. That's just my gut feeling from episode 1.
Yeah, I mean, so Arnold Ford becomes kind of an interesting combo to kind of figure out, and then Maeve and Dolores, another interesting combo. It is interesting that the Hemsworth in this series is actually, if you check the credits, listed as that other Hemsworth, which is incredibly, that other Hemsworth. That's pretty impressive from there.
Yeah.
So is he a host or not? Do you have a feel for that, Stubbs?
I don't think he is, but I am very curious as to find out what happened to him between his disappearance in season 1 and his reappearance here. I suppose it's always a possibility, but I'm going to say he's not. I don't know why. Because he's a Hemsworth.
He's a Hemsworth. Hemsworths are all awesome. So
Right.
And I have renewed for the other Hemsworth, renewed appreciation for Thor, which maybe at some point we'll do a nurture and support on the most recent Avenger movie, but that's for conversation for another day.
Okay.
The first 10 minutes of Ragnarok is magic. It's just magic.
Cool.
But I guess we're not here to talk about Ragnarok or Marvel tonight. We're here to talk about Westworld. And so some super cool things in episode 1. We get Delos executives standing on top of grave markers, getting a good core workout.
Yes.
We get cards. So we go back to the kind of Iraq War, where there were kind of a deck of cards. These are the most important people.
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing gets emerged when there's this kind of Delos hit squad with crazy cool kind of Isla Nebdar kind of Jurassic Park vehicles, and some dealing with the Chinese. We do learn, highly spoilery conversation, by the way, folks. So if you're listening to this and you don't want to be spoiled, I don't know why you'd be listening to this.
Right.
But so we do kind of learn that this environment has multiple parks and is on an island.
Yep.
Apparently close to China, it appears to be.
I was thinking that I was wondering with all the to jump towards the end of the episode, they're talking about all the terraforming that Ford was doing, and they talked about that in season 1. But I have to wonder if it's not a man-made island. They've talked about man-made islands in the South China Sea, so not in the show, but in our reality, and we don't know how far in the future Westworld is really supposed to be set. I don't believe we've ever been given a time frame. So it's curious.
It is. And we get a call back to the take the scalp off and you get the maze on the top of the scalp, which confuses some people.
Yes,
but we do
and can we address the issue of the imagery of scalping a Native American in Westworld? I mean, come on.
Seems a little wrong.
It was a little wrong. It was a little rough. Our gory scene for the episode. It was pretty gory.
It was, and then we learned there's this kind of Brita-like filter that exists inside each of the hosts, which is kind of their central CPU, where you can kind of learn all of their past thinking, which was super cool. I love the cards. I love the Brita filter brain CPU. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yep. How convenient. You can just plug it right into that tablet and replay its last memories, which in that recording was taken 11 days and 9 hours before the time that they were watching it, which of course, in typical fashion, Westworld is jumping timelines all over the place. And that's part of the fun of trying to figure out when what happened. So we're at least 2 weeks after season 1's ending in this episode, at least in that flash, in that timeline right there. So interesting.
Yep. And we to your point earlier about Maeve possibly being the best character. There's a lot of Maeve awesomeness in this scene, in this whole episode. She does seem to be still pretty locked into she's going to find her daughter, and even though Lee tries to suggest that it's a storyline or whatever, she's still pretty locked into that's going to happen. I'm going to find that. Not obviously, I'm not sure who could be a big fan of Lee. He's not a
no, and one of our other great heroes is missing still, Felix. I'm genuinely worried about Felix. Where is Felix? Surely Hector didn't accidentally kill Felix.
I hope not. I hope we get a little bit of Felix.
I believe, spoiler, but I believe that the actor whose name escapes me that plays Felix was present at like the premieres and stuff. So surely he's in this season, but I loved Felix. Felix was the only decent human, and we're fairly certain he was human after the finale of season 1 when Maeve tells him that Bernard is a host and he's doing the robot trying to figure out if he's a host, and she's like, no, you're human. And so Felix may be the only person we can genuinely say is human at this point, but Felix is missing.
Yes, I hope he comes back too, because he's awesome. Awesome character.
Yes, but Hector's back, so at least we have that.
Hector's back, who's awesome. Charlotte Hale is back, who, by the way, is played by Tessa Thompson, who was in Thor Ragnarok. So we got that to kind of loop in from there.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Bernard's got kind of the whole alien milk leaking kind of deal going on. Yes. And then they did introduce the kind of super cool looking, I don't know, quasi host drones that are these white guys that are walking around too, which I don't know if we're going to see more of that. I hope we see more of them because they're super cool.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly.
Dolores could get herself a whole army of the drone hosts.
Yeah, who looks serious.
Yes, they were scary, big. Yeah. No, I really did like that touch of Bernard leaking the milk out of his ear. Very much, anything that harkens back to Alien franchise is a big plus in my world. So I did like that. That was very cool. So
And there's so many characters in this and that are big and important, and they do such an incredible job and kind of weaving them all in. So we got Dolores, we got Maeve, we got Hector. Hopefully we get Felix at some point in time.
mhm.
But of course the Man in Black, huge in this William.
Yeah.
And he happens to run across young Dr. Ford again of the
The child Ford.
Child Ford with the crazy face that kind of
Yes.
opens and closes. They have a little chat. Man in Black takes him out at the end when he's done.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. That was a really nice touch. I was really happy to see that. With I don't tell me what you think about this. Is I'm not sure that everybody is not still playing Ford's game. I'm not entirely myself convinced that the hosts are actually working that well on their own. I think it's entirely possible that they're still playing by Ford's rules, by Ford's programming of what he told them to do. Dolores has been manipulated into what she's doing, and I'm not sure really how conscious Dolores is, or if she's still playing a role, or if this new role is just another story that she's playing from, say, like in season 1, when they wake up Bernard and he's looking at Maeve's programming on the tablet, and he tells her that this is her story. Someone has set her up to do all of this, breaking free. That was her new story, was to break free, and she didn't believe it and got angry. Who made those changes to her? It would have to be, one would guess at this point that it has to be Ford. Or it could have been Bernard and Ford made Bernard forget about it. But that's one of those things that is still so crazy about this show, is because it's one of the first lines in this episode when Dolores is talking to those people standing on their crosses to die and fall into their own graves. She's talking about the nature of reality, and she's evolved into a new role, which is herself. So I think that's kind of what the overarching story of this season is going to be, is the nature of reality and who really is playing a role and who really is conscious. Because as we already mentioned, Teddy in this episode, Teddy is not woke. Teddy is not conscious. Teddy is just doing what Dolores/Wyatt is telling him to do, and you can see that he is conflicted about the role that he is playing in this because it goes against his storyline and he does not understand. So, spoiler alert, you'll get more of that dealing with that in episode 2 if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Teddy's got a journey. I don't know if he's equipped for the journey or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a path to go. And then we get other goodies too, like a dead tiger.
I want to know who kept killing all the animals.
Yeah. Who they say is from Park 6. So that's super interesting.
Yep.
To know if Westworld, I don't know whatever number it is, but if there are 6 parks, we kind of know there's Westworld. We know that there's a samurai world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to assume that I don't know what to assume, whether the tiger is part of Samurai World or there's maybe a cat world, which would be awesome.
I would, unless it's a pet tiger, I don't think it would fit into a realistic depiction of Samurai World, but there's no telling. For all we know, there's another J.J. Abrams show inside this park, a la Lost.
Yep.
You know,
totally possible.
One of these islands that comprises the park could be Lost, for all we know. I'm hoping, since Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park and also wrote the Westworld story that gave rise to this, that there's Jurassic Park in here too, and we can get some dinosaurs. I know people have been throwing around that the fun theory that Game of Thrones is really just a park.
Park in Westworld, which would be incredible, which
Yes.
would be super awesome.
So that's the mind-blowing part about Westworld is, questioning the nature of reality, of your reality. They could do anything in there. They could have Firefly be a park in there. Wouldn't that be cool? We don't know how technological they are. They could actually have flying little spaceships. We don't know.
And maybe Bubba Hotep World. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes. So anything goes here. We don't really know. So that's part of the fun of it, is it leaves it so open to interpretation, and you could just go crazy coming up with all sorts of theories about what did this mean? Well, given the nature of things, it could just be, a false flag for you to go run over here and follow this while they're really running something over past you that you didn't even notice, which isn't hard to do because if you twirl something shiny in front of me like a tiger, I'm off running after the tiger and missing the important person standing over here. So.
Yep. Which is, again, the amazing thing about Westworld is that you don't know. You really, really don't know. We kind of come to the end of the episode where, and you mentioned earlier with the timestamp, so they do tons of time shifts, and there were 30 years back, current time, whatever, but we also know there's this other time frame of 11 to 12 days that kind of deal with from the host uprising to the Jurassic Park SUVs rolling in and all of that. And somewhere in that time frame, apparently there was a great flood. And somehow a lot of the hosts had collected into one spot. And when that great flood happened, it took a bunch of them out.
Yeah.
And there might have been a familiar looking host floating amongst there. Do you want to talk about that at all?
It's out there online, even though I have not been able to see it with my own eyeballs. So sure, I think we should mention it just so people can go back and look for it, because we don't know what that means. And given that it's Westworld, it could mean anything or nothing at all. So go for it.
You want me to go for it? Because
Sure.
It looks. So, do you know Teddy's last name?
I did until you asked me.
Okay, Flood.
Yeah. How poetic.
How poetic. Because there's a flood, and it certainly appears that they want us to believe that one of the bodies of the hundreds of bodies floating in the water looks a heck of a lot like Teddy.
Right. And we'll remember that so far from what we know in this season, if this is current time or future time, depending on what time you want to call current time, Bernard says that he did that. And Bernard is with the people that have come to quote unquote clean up this mess or rescue the shareholders or whatnot, that host manufacturing is offline. So if Teddy's floating in the water, Teddy might be dead. Not to say that he's not stored in some database somewhere, but at the moment, there isn't any resurrecting and fully reconstructing hosts like Maeve was having done in season 1, where she was burning herself up to get remade so she could make more changes to herself. Teddy's not doing that. So
nope.
We have to wonder why Teddy's in the water.
Yes,
but
indeed.
We also had at the beginning of the episode, Bernard's having several flashes when they right after the opening where Arnold is talking to Dolores, and then they flash over to Bernard. He's having several flashes of, one assumes, memories, or some in the future, some in the past, skipping all over the place. There's one with Bernard with a machine gun. So Bernard gets in on some fighting someplace. So you really have to wonder, I think at this point they're trying to make you wonder whose side Bernard is really on. And that story that he was telling Dolores that Arnold, we're not sure. I think we're assuming it's Arnold that is telling Dolores about the dream. That dream is very similar to the situation of how he wakes up on the beach alone. So again, questioning the nature of reality. So
Yep.
we don't know what's real and what's not real. And we're just making it up, y'all.
Yep. And I thought Battlestar Galactica was hard. And
We might not be mentally prepared for Westworld if Battlestar Galactica hadn't come around and made us all wonder who was real and who was a Cylon. So we have Battlestar Galactica probably to thank for a lot of this. So,
it helps. It helps a little bit.
yeah.
So a great start to a great show.
Mm-hmm.
So Mel and I have talked about it, and what we're going to kind of do for the next several nurture and supports is talk about Westworld because we love Westworld. We're going to work to possibly bring some other people in as well to join us who equally have a passion and are equally confused about what the heck's going on here from there. So we're gonna keep working on that. So that'll be fun. But this is really, if you're not watching Westworld, I don't know why you're listening to this, but you really should and get through and get caught up because this is really, really good stuff.
Yeah, and it's a tough show. I mean, I've recommended this show to pretty much everybody I know, and it's not an easy watching show, especially the first few episodes of season 1. There's a lot of violence and a lot of horrible violence against women. I hate to have to say, it's worth getting through, but it really is. It really is about triumphing past all of that horrible things. You're gonna find out, even if you haven't seen season 1, that the point of all of this, if you're listening to us talk about season 2, is you're gonna find out that the hosts are going to get back at all the horrible things that have been done to them, that humanity has done to them in the guise of it's just a game, which is one of the things one of the humans says in episode 1 of season 2, that they didn't mean anything by it. It was all a game. So all the raping and the murdering of all these hosts, that was just a game. And so the host didn't really find it that funny, and so they're rebelling. And it depends on whether you're Dolores or you're Maeve, what your ultimate goal at this point is. If it's revenge, or if you want to salvage the only good memory that you have in your life, which is Maeve going for a daughter who she knows is not her daughter, but who she has fond memories of anyway, because it was the only good, meaningful memory that she has in her whole life that she can remember, at least. So, it's very nuanced, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and I'm saying it badly. It's a very nuanced show. It's hard. It's not an easy watch because of all the violence, but I think overall it has a good message to make it worth watching. So
Yeah, I would agree completely because season 1 there's a lot of tough stuff that happens there, but it really sets the bedrock. Say, here's the tough stuff that's happened, and then to start to see people taking steps to resolve that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not going to make myself popular here on this, but there are a lot of what I will describe as knuckleheads out there on the kind of Star Wars universe that, as strong female characters have emerged in Star Wars, that they attribute an unnecessary motivation to that and a frustration to that, which is ridiculous. That's the kind of cool thing about this, is that it's a good mix, that realistically at this point in time, the strongest characters, not necessarily the best characters in Dolores, I'm pretty spooked about Dolores, but she's a very strong character. Maeve is an incredibly strong character. And the Man in Black is obviously a player as well.
Yes.
But it's nice to see kind of an equitable distribution of that and different points of view in terms of what different folks have gone through. And a lot of the challenge of that was set up in season 1 in a somewhat tough way, but now you're starting to see the consequences of that and the steps that are being taken. So it's good stuff.
Well, I think that's some of the appeal to it to me, is because even the characters that I consider good are not good. Maeve has killed a whole bunch of people. Now, she doesn't arbitrarily kill every human she comes across. She has a reason, and she's smart, and she will keep someone alive if they're useful to her. Now, Dolores has exhibited a little bit of that as well, but Dolores appears to be out for revenge.
Yep.
And she's not concerned about killing other hosts to get it. We've clearly seen that Dolores is killing hosts who she doesn't consider to be, I don't know what her criteria is, but she doesn't consider them to be worthy. And so she's killing hosts. We have not seen Maeve do that. Maeve has her own agenda, and she is doing her own thing. So she was kind to a dying host when she came apart. Now, it was one of her girls from the saloon, but Maeve has the potential to be just as horrible as Dolores, but she's going about it in a different way. And because her motivations are different, you have to look at her in a different way. And Maeve hasn't suffered any less than Dolores has. So
No.
it's all about the choices that you make and where you go. And again, to me, the manipulation that they've both undergone by both Arnold and Ford. I don't think Dolores is really coming out on the good end for all of Arnold's help. I'm not sure that Arnold really helped her a whole lot, and then Ford got in the mix. So at this point, to me, the water is so muddy. I'm not certain that Ford isn't still playing this game, that he didn't already plan all these chess pieces out, and they're still playing by Ford's rules. But we will see. I do like that this game, as Robot Child Ford tells the Man in Black, this game is for him.
Yep.
This is his game. The previous game was not his. This one is. So I'm really looking forward to what the Man in Black is going to do the rest of the season, because he is, of course, someone who you love to hate.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and a lot more fun in episode 2 as we start to explore that space further, and as we will on the next Nurture and Support. But a fantastic start to a great show for season 2. Episode 1 was great, and it's picking up. It hasn't missed a beat, and we continue to not know where things are going. The fact that there may be 6 parks has got me incredibly excited, and to see how that opens up a little bit more, because they're at least giving hints about that, and we'll see how that works out. But the core characters are great, and it's crazy fun. So,
yep.
I don't have anything more for episode 1. How about you?
No, other than that, it was really, really awesome, and it had some great lines in it. And if you've listened this far and you're not a fan of Westworld, I hope we have, in some stumbling way, convinced you to give Westworld a try, because Westworld is really some of the best TV out there. So it's really great, and it's so smart, and Anthony Hopkins is wonderful, and hopefully we will get a little more of him in some way in this season. So I was just really tickled at Child Ford coming back. So
That was awesome.
I have hopes that Anthony Hopkins will get to make another appearance in this season. But all of our favorite characters are back except for Felix.
Yeah.
Please at me if you're worried about Felix like I am, because I'm desperately worried about Felix. I need him to come back. I need to know that Felix is okay.
I'm with you 110% on that.
I feel that Maeve would take care of Felix. I'm actually a little disappointed in her for not looking for him.
Yep. Which we don't know. There's more to come. The Felix story may emerge here a little bit later in the season, but we were Felix light, for episode 1.
Yes.
And we'll talk about episode 2. We talked about episode 2 again. So Mel and I are going to keep talking about this. We're going to look to bring in some other folks to do it as well. Working on the logistics of that as well. Hope you Nurture and Support listeners and enjoy this. And if you haven't started watching Westworld, get caught up and then join us for other conversations. And if you're interested in joining Mel and I, let us know.
Yeah. And if you have any favorite theories of your own or any questions you'd like us to answer or get our opinion on, please at us on Twitter. And don't email us, but add us on Twitter.
Much better way to go.
Much more reliable way for us to see the message. But yes, we would love some interaction on this show. There's such a big fan base for this show, and we hope that some of our listeners love it as much as we do. If y'all had some questions for us or wanted to join in or anything of the like, so please do.
Absolutely. So on that note, I guess I'd like to say thanks for listening, everybody.
We're going to be nice to Matt.
Oh,
He forgot.
yeah, for this week, I'll be nice to Matt. For a non-host Matt, we'll give you all the information on how you connect and nurture and support, and then you'll hear awesome Alicia stuff and a corgi howl at the end. And so, thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody. We'll be back for episode 2 next time.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting Journey.